So we started to discuss about the company from this stage. Total asset, liability, owner's equity. Because we have limited information, when we make a decision based on this number, definitely a company looks better, safer, because less amount of liability compared to equity. But inside of asset, inside of liability, inside of asset, inside liability of each company, we can conclude exactly opposite decision. Why? Because a company doesn't have enough money to cover up short-term debt. Very risky solvency issue. So we must provide classified balance sheet, not just the total of asset liability owner's equity, but based on the liquidity, the cycle of asset and cycle of liability. How long? So chapter 4, question number 5, that's good practice question to understand this concept and also for preparation of test 1. We know accounts payable is a liability. One step further, accounts payable, current liability. Due within an operating cycle, usually 1 year. We need to make payment. Accounts receivable, asset, one step further, current asset. We can cash them in a short period in an operating cycle, like that. Accumulated depreciation, asset. Even though a budget of equipment or building or machine to reduce the value of each asset doesn't mean cross the line. So liability or owner's equity, definitely asset side, stay in the asset side, but control account. Okay? Don't be confused. Okay. Building and cash, of course, represent current asset, right? Then don't forget this one when you classify. If we have long-term debt with the condition to make partial payment to every single year, the amount, partial payment amount we must pay within an operating cycle, that means within a year, must be classified as a current liability. The rest amount definitely classified as a non-current long-term liability. Okay? So, lab question number 5, you must provide classified balance sheet. Balance sheet had point in time. Don't forget that. Non-current asset side. Yeah, long-term investment. I briefly introduced goodwill or something. But this is the major non-current asset, PP&E, property, plant, and equipment, land, building, machine, equipment, car, computer, furniture, like that. So we can determine total asset. From here, we have non-current liability section along with current liabilities. So based on liquidity order, we can list all payable, and unearned revenue definitely under your balance sheet because short-term liability. If we have long-term and current portion of long-term mortgage must be listed under current liability section, the rest amount under long-term liability section. Then updated equity. Finally, we have classified balance sheet. Accountant provide all the information with numbers. So financing guys, they are going to use the number, but they prefer to use and analyze and provide the additional refined information to their users by using ratios. So this is the classic ratios to represent how strong financing structure company has based on balance sheet. finance structure. So working capital after deduction of current liability from current asset, how much available balance? Then current ratio. So if company had enough current asset to cover up current liability. But some current asset like a prepaid supplies, this kind of current asset, we cannot cash them out and make a payment for the current liability. So only cash equivalent asset we are going to consider to calculate the ratio. Then we call acid test ratio. Acid test ratio only include cash, accounts receivable, and short-term investment, which we can cash them very quick term. Okay? So over current liability, more strict liquidity ratio. So this is ratio related to the current asset side along with the current liability. Then, as I said, numerator current asset to cover up current liability. So higher is safer, higher is better. Usually around 2 current asset, close to 2 is healthy enough, safe enough. Lower than 1.4, 1.3, 1. Yeah, 43, a little bit risky. So this case is the current company's liquidity current ratio represent only 0.91. Lower than 1. That means company has more current liability than current asset. Very poor. Okay? We can analyze like that. Usually acid test ratio over 1. Then it's okay. So you must know how to analyze the ratios as well. Okay?